Welcome to Round Hill Radio. Through our conversations, we discover the holy in the ordinary, look for moments of grace and peace, and redefine what we're talking about. We talk about faith. Hey, Lillian.
Hello.
Welcome back. We are in Exodus this week. Mm-hmm. And I thought to mix it up, and because I don't want to this week, I don't know why, but I'm just having one of those days. Would you mind reading our scripture lesson out of our 52 for the journey? It's week 43.
How exciting.
Very exciting. All right.
Okay, so our scripture lesson comes from the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verses 1 through 12. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, Here I am. Do not come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face, because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the land of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them, so now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And God said, I will be with you. And this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. Here ends our reading.
Very nice. The first thought I had in the first section is when the bush is burning and it writes that Jesus thought, I will go over and see this strange sight. And I'm thinking, I have a feeling his thoughts were a little more candid than that.
Moses,
when it's recorded, we make it nice.
As I was, reflecting on this for my sermon I will be sharing for this week, I had that moment of reflection of this is his normal day.
Yeah.
An average day. He is doing his work. And I was like, if this happened to me while I was suddenly can't really see it between the two of us. There's
a faux tree here in our set.
Bursting into flames.
Right.
I would not react quite so smoothly and calmly.
No, definitely not. There would be a sort of a startled reaction. Mm-hmm. That's putting it nicely. Initially, especially because I don't think, fire where fire is unexpected. Mm-hmm. is not a good thing ever.
And it's so one thing that I kind of discuss is the idea of theophany. Do you know this 5-letter word?
I do not.
So theophany, which is a word they teach you at divinity school, somewhere in the first, second semester, comes from theo, which is coming from God, and phany, which is coming from kind of to show or to reveal. Mm-hmm. And theophany refers to when God is made perceivable.
Okay.
So sometimes, specifically in Hebrew Bible, often this is referring to fire, the burning bush, through kind of these booming voices or thunder or these pillars of flame or cloud or lightning. Mm-hmm. And none of those are comforting innately.
Right.
It's very, most of them are kind of very awe-inducing, very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of like people saying, "Oh, preaching fire and brimstone," right? Like that kind of style of communicating, that communication of like who God is. It's not usually like, "Oh, I'm gonna go have a snuggle," right? It's not the like fatherly or paternal sense of God. It's not the like
It's the
familial idea of it.
kind of magnitude of power, awe-inspiring, where you hear Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. God is not in this story in the Hebrew Bible often. God is not seeing God is dangerous because if God calls you by name,
Right.
something's about to happen to you.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's on a very micro level. Like, did you ever get called into the principal's office for something good? Probably not. Right.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like that. If you're in that room or you're being spoken to by name, there's concern.
And even if it's not, because this is not anything about, this is a positive.
Sure.
He's like, Moses, I noticed you. I think that you can help me do this big
Giant
giant project.
Yeah.
And his first question is, who am I that I should go? Like
Right.
trying to get out of it, because it is not an easy thing to encounter God.
Right. God's not going to come and ask you to like tend your neighbor's field.
Yeah.
Like God's not going to get involved on that level of stuff. When God's calling you, it's like God has big ideas. It's big ideas, high level thinking, kind of a thing. It's interesting. What else did you notice?
Let me think. So another thing that often comes up. So this is, the burning bush.
Yes.
This is a story that comes up fairly frequently.
Sure.
I will still get new texts. I think the Bible's very long. I will be getting new texts to preach on or to reflect on for the rest of my career. But already the burning bush story is one that kind of comes up a lot because it is this iconic calling of Moses.
Right.
And one of the things that people center on as well is taking off your sandals, for you are on holy ground. And just the phrase of here I am, and this posture of reluctant, perhaps, receptivity of just, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot in that kind of section. And then there's also a lot in it takes a lot for Hebrew Bible God to notice and intervene,
Okay.
as you were saying.
Yeah.
And it specifically is a lot of, I've noticed their suffering and I will reach out. So
Yeah. That this had gotten to a level of such that God felt like God had to intervene. Right. Because this had gotten so bad for the Israelites. Is that what we're kind of assuming there?
yeah, and I think I should have brought my Bible. Because the context that this is kind of within is that the Israelites are in Egypt. Pharaoh increasingly is kind of creating this situation where they are not only enslaved, but also their children are being killed. And that is how Moses, he is saved, survives this being killed as a baby.
Right.
And so ultimately there is this, okay, this is the turning point. I've identified Moses as my voluntold Moses to
Yeah.
stand up to Pharaoh. And then after this, you get the plagues and you get the escape from.
Right. We can't talk about this, at least as a millennial, without discussing the truly excellent film, The Prince of Egypt.
I somehow
Please tell me you've seen it.
have not
Okay, this is your homework
consciously
for the week.
watched it.
Okay, well, this is your homework for the week from me, lovingly said. You are being voluntold to go watch this
Prince
film.
of-
Yeah. Because the music is,
Oh, I've
Top-notch.
heard some of the music.
it's top notch. It is. I had the sheet music of it as a
Oh,
high
yeah.
school. I like the little piano. I like singing the songs at my house. It's a great time. A great time. I'm sure I still have it because I would not have gotten rid of such a truly excellent score. But it is so good. And I can't, to me, it's like, this is a random thing to say, but when you might be too young for this. God, when you read a bunch of Harry Potter, but then then you watch the movie, and then like the faces of the character of the actors become then the faces as you read the subsequent books. Because for me, I'm old enough that
Now, when you read this story in your head,
it's the animated,
it's the
and I
animated
have the music
characters.
going on in my head, and it's like it's all happening. So they've kind of merged.
yeah. So this is fundamental to your understanding.
This is part of my mental picture. It is, which is why you need to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's truly excellent. But I'm also part of me now. Once I would love your perspective. If I had thought ahead, I would have asked you to watch this yesterday.
We'll have a special episode of the podcast that's just talking about the movie Prince of Egypt.
I mean, should we live stream you watching it and be like, that never happened? That didn't happen in the Bible. Because I want to know like what artistic liberties they took, and then how were they true to the telling of the story in the book of Exodus.
We'll talk about this.
I want to know. I genuinely, should we have like a bonus episode about this? I think we might need to. Please let us know, because I would 100% do that. I think I should go rewatch it too. I'll go rewatch it as well.
Yeah.
And then, maybe we should have a watch party.
New movie night, popcorn.
Movie night. I mean, that's a great movie night.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a kid when it came out, so this is like a bit of a throwback, but it's a good movie.
I'm sure it holds up. We'll find out.
I'm this close to bursting into song. I'm just going to let everybody know that. Okay. I had to mention it. It had to come in because people have been like, Leslie, what kind of millennial are you? We're getting rid of your millennial card if you don't bring up this truly formative movie from Disney. So our question for the week in our book is, when have you felt called to do something that was outside your comfort zone, and how did you respond to that? So that's what people can write in their own journals. Do you have anything about that you would feel comfortable sharing on the podcast?
I'll share a bit of. I don't know if I've talked about before that I think I have, that I came to Christianity when I think
you mentioned it last week, actually.
Yeah, when I was in undergrad. And the transition between, especially from an outside lens, the transition between Lillian starts attending church services, Lillian thinks about going into ministry, and Lillian starts her application for divinity school. It was like less than 6 months.
Yeah.
That whole turnaround.
Right. That's so cool.
And so from this outside perspective, especially when talking to people who aren't religious, because for most religious people, I can be like, I don't know. I was called. It happened so quickly. And there's an element of like room for confusion, but especially for people who didn't really know.
It's like all of a sudden.
It was very sudden because I kept it in for almost until it happened.
Sure.
I had one friend who I told him I was Christian, told him I was applying to divinity school like 2 days before I would have gotten my acceptance to divinity school.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so
like, wait, what?
And so it was something that I was very scared of, both scared of entering this community where I was like, everyone knows what they're doing. Like, I've never taken a theology class before. I've never taken a philosophy class before. And suddenly I'm kind of being thrust into this school where that's all you do.
It's a whole universe.
And talking to people and sharing and not knowing really how it happened. I think there are still moments to this day where I sit in my office, or I'm after Sunday worship, I'll be like walking through the sanctuary, picking up my water, and I'm like, it's really weird. Like, me even 5 years ago would not have thought for a second that this is what I would be doing.
This is your life now.
And it is still strange to me. And I think I don't know how much I can say. I was walking outside and I saw a burning bush, and now I was like, I'm going to divinity school. It was just the next step that made sense for me in that moment. And I kept making those steps until I'm here, and I was like, wow, that was a lot of steps.
That was a lot of tiny little steps. Do you remember the day you decided, you're like, okay, I'm going to like hit send, or I'm going to just sit down and I'm going to apply to divinity school? Do you remember
So
that
I
day?
remember when you're writing these things, they call it, what was your call to ministry?
Right.
And
We
so
talked about call letter
Yeah.
before. Yeah, we had a few years about that. So
we had like every time you write anything, they'll go, any applications or any
Right.
ordination stuff, they'll go, what's your call to ministry?
right.
And I answer that in two ways. The first is that my call to love and to speak, there's like, that has always been, in my life, threaded through.
Seems like fundamental to your personality.
Yeah, but my the anecdote I tell, which I've told many times, so you will hear it and you'll be like, wow, she's rehearsed that.
You got it down to a type
is
5.
My grandma had some kind of surgery. It wasn't a major big deal, scary surgery, but my grandfather was in the hospital. He didn't want to drive, so I went to go pick him up to bring him home. And I was waiting in the hospital for my grandpa to be ready to go. And I just remember I was like sitting in like an uncomfortable chair, and there was like Olympic weightlifting on the television. And at this point, I knew I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Up until this point, my entire life, I had wanted to go to medicine. But I had this moment where I was like, I don't know if that's quite right. And so I was unpacking it and kind of in this in-between. And I had just recently started going to church. And as I was sitting in this chair, a staff member of the hospital walked by with a badge. And on that badge, it had a tab that just said chaplain. And whatever it was, that word was the word I needed to connect my call to care for people to a call to ministry.
Oh, so you felt like medicine was your call to care for people, and you were
Yeah.
like, but no, it's the call to care for people, and then this is the element
And I can also do that.
this is the like
through-
umbrella I'm going to wear,
Yeah.
or like the coat I'm going to put on in order to do that
And
in my
so-
most authentic way.
At first, I was like, well, I'm going to be a chaplain.
Sure.
And then I like slowed down, and I was like, okay, I should actually like
Consider this
not
a-
go 90 miles an hour into like whatever's next.
What? But why not?
And so, but that was when I think the following Sunday, I like cornered my pastor. Like, I hadn't even joined the church yet.
Yeah.
I cornered my pastor, and I was like, can I talk to you, please? And she was like, yes, you can. And so I had meetings, and I talked, and I reflected, and I went, okay, either if I do chaplaincy or if I do parish ministry, I'm going to have to get an MDiv. So I started looking at schools, and like that was the moment where I was like, I guess I'm applying to divinity
I
school.
gotta fill out the paperwork.
Because I have to spend 3 years getting a master's degree,
Yeah.
which is longer than most master's degrees.
Mine was too. Yeah, it was always funny because we went to the same school.
We did.
But so it was funny because the musicians are there for 2 years, and then the MDivs are there for 3 years. I was in a program that was like half and half. I had music degrees as well in the same program, so that's the thing. But it was always funny because how like the overlaps worked. So we're like, bye, enjoy your last year.
It's also a lot of people I was very close to were MARs, which is one word they say for Masters of Arts in Religion. It's a 2-year degree.
Yeah. Oh, that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So-
where the artsy fartsy people go.
And it's also where the very scholarly people go.
Oh, the ones I knew were super artsy. Like
Yeah.
we had to do a colloquium presentation,
Yeah.
and you're supposed to have one partner across the aisle, as they called it. And I ended up having two because there was like an odd number, and both of mine were MARs.
Yeah.
And so one was, we did, I think I've told, I don't remember if I've told this on the podcast before, but we did an entire presentation about liturgical dance. And then
which is fascinating.
which is super, yeah, and like the really like where it comes
Yeah.
from, really studying, which for me was helpful from like a gaining respect for it way.
Yeah.
Because as an organist, we are inherently snobs. It's a part of like the job description. It's
Yeah.
like number 3. So that was very helpful for me, especially because I was actually serving in a church that had liturgical dance the entire time I was there. And I, of course, kept a very blank face about it. I was not going to judge people for doing something they loved and to express their faith. But I was like, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
So it was super helpful just as a personal level to understand it, because one of my partners was very passionate about it. I was like, great opportunity there. And then my other of the trio, the other was a film person. So we made a film about liturgical dance. It was very fun. It was very fun. So sorry, I took a tangent.
Don't worry.
Coming back to you.
But Lizzie was an MAR.
Lizzie
But
was an
yeah,
MAR.
the third year of your master's where all of your friends have left and you're like just trying to get everything done. You're like,
Can I
oh my
finish
gosh.
this, please? Can we finish this?
But I think a lot of that process, and still up to this day, is a call where I don't quite feel. There's always this part of me that's like, who am I to go?
So you connect that almost like that, like the
Yeah.
like imposter syndrome that Moses is having. You're like, you kind of connect with that.
And there's also the kind of jarring nature of having your entire life be different, flipped upside down in a moment.
Yeah.
And the question was, what do you do? But one thing that Moses does is he gets help. He has, and now I wish I had my Bible again because I totally forget this guy's name. He gets his brother or something to do a lot of the work with him. And so not only is God with him, but he also has people helping him in the areas that he feels a little more precarious in, of public speaking. He has people help him with that.
So one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard in this building is we had a person come and discuss climate change. It was like a Sunday afternoon or Saturday program. And the presentation was fascinating, obviously had a lot of scary statistics in it and was very serious. And so, and one of our members raised her hand and said, but how do you do when it feels like, well, I'm just one person? What can I do? I just feel like I'm just one person. What change can I make? And his answer will always stay with me. He goes, you stop being one person. You find people who have the same goals as you, or you bring them along, or you do it, but the quickest way is to stop being one person and create a team or create even a partnership where you have that support for each other, and it makes everything easier.
And I'll speak to even, I've done youth programming. I think something that, I don't know if I feel it more acutely or I see it more acutely because it's kind of a product of the younger generations and the internet, is you become acutely aware of all of the problems.
Sure.
But less acutely aware and more separated from anyone else who is solving the problem. So you know everything that's wrong, but you don't know where to start, and you feel like you have to be the one
To
who
start
knows
something.
to start something.
Yeah.
Whereas when 100,000 people each feel like they're the one who has to reinvent the wheel and start something afresh, it feels impossible and you're paralyzed by that. But I don't know like how to change the mindset of like, there are people already doing almost every issue. There are already people
Right.
working towards a solution.
Do you think that we as a society have gotten a little bit disconnected from this idea of like joining something? or like as generations are continuing, we're kind of like, oh, I'll start something, I'll be in charge of something. Is that just my personality? But it's like,
yeah, I think that to a certain extent, there's also this idea of as organizations get larger, they get more oversight and sometimes they get less efficient. And so you're like, oh, well, this organization either isn't perfectly aligning with what I believe, or this organization seems so clunky. I don't know if it'll do any good, or it has this approach and I don't really think that that works. Or even just like not knowing the organization exists, or
Right.
not knowing that where the chapters are and how to join.
yeah.
But I think that especially some young people I've talked to, it's very isolating to be afraid for the world. And it's hard to be curious and move towards the burning bush, to move towards something, be like, oh, that's strange, I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah.
It's often like, oh, that bush is on fire, oh no, we gotta do something about that.
Yeah.
That's how do I start? Should I
Yeah.
is someone like looking into this?
So is there a fire extinguisher or a bucket of water? How do you think we can in ourselves make that shift from like, to curiosity towards action? Like, what do you think how do you think that we can make that switch?
My inhale, exhale.
It's fine.
I think I'm still trying to figure that out.
Sure.
I recently started here. I recently graduated. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to figure out all at once. And one of them is, for me, very palpably, what am I doing for God? Because at this church, obviously, I'm preaching, I'm trying to help. But beyond that, what am I doing to be a Christian? What am I doing to follow Christ? And that's a high bar. And it is, I think, for kind of people like me who go 90 miles an hour, slowing down and doing one thing and letting it be enough of like, okay, for the next 6 months, I'm going to figure out one thing. And then for the following, and then I think that it's okay to know what causes matter to you, because it's something you can do. Because as my aunt would say, you can do it all, but you can't do it all at the same time.
Good advice.
And so being able to narrow down, but also holding that balance of taking it easy on yourself, but not letting yourself get complacent, or not letting yourself get too comfortable.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think there's something really interesting in what you were saying before about your journey to ministry, because you made a lot of little tiny steps and those added up to a giant life change. And I think we can all take from that when we make those tiny steps, we can get really, really far than just looking at one giant leap and being like, I don't know. It also makes me think that I think there's something really important about hope in all of this, that like sometimes it feels like in order to make that tiny first step, you have to feel like it's going to make a difference. Like change whatever we're talking about, whatever your topic is, that each tiny step will amount to something. And I feel like that fundamental, hope or belief or whatever you want to call it is integral towards taking that first step towards that bush.
Something that I've reflected on before or written before is the idea of when we live in a world where hope is seen as naive, maintaining hope is an act of resistance.
I love that. That's sometimes what here. I want you to finish your thought, but I will say that's what I feel like about Round Hill is like being here. I feel hopeful in a way that feels a little scrappy.
Yeah.
And that makes me very joyful.
And I think maintaining hope and not like, I don't know, harnessing the persistence of hope.
Yeah.
The act of hope.
Right. The choice of hope.
Because when you see God being born into a world of mess, the act of being born, you know, from what I've heard, isn't easy on either end.
It's a doozy.
It's a doozy.
Can confirm.
But the entire thing is determined hope.
I love that. I think we'll end there today. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course.
I love your insights are incredible. Thank you.
Have hope.
Have hope, everybody. And we hope. Oh, grown.
Oh.
Sorry. That you will join us here back next week. There was a sentence in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, one and all, for joining us. Round Hill Radio is brought to you by the friends and members of Round Hill Community Church. For more information, please visit roundhillradio.org.
If you enjoyed this podcast, there are a few things that you can do that would make a big difference to us. Like the video, subscribe if you aren't, and click the notification bell and select all. Thank you.